There are some rumors going around that if you have Invigorated Punishment on your ring, that Shirking Fortify will actually nerf you enough that you will take more damage with the buff on you than not having the buff on you at all. Well, in this video, I want to answer the question, should you run Shirking Fortify against Invigorated Punishment? So let's find out. In the first test here, you're going to see the normal attack and then Shirking Fortify versus Invigorated Punishment. I also included the abilities where we also test the abilities, but the percentage difference will be the same. So for the first test, normal versus the Invigorated Punishment and Shirking Fortify, the damage difference or the resistance that we can get is only 6% on heavy. The first test was done in heavy. Moving on to medium load, if we test medium load, you can see that we did the normal attack and then again Shirking Fortify plus Invigorated Punishment, and the damage difference was only 4.7%, so that's about the difference you get. Still no damage increase, only damage decrease. Now let's move on to light. This is where people say you will probably take more damage than you should if you have the buff. If we take a look at it, you can see that the damage decreased by 2.6%. So does Shirking Fortify still work against Invigorated Punishment? It definitely does, but should you run Shirking Fortification? Most likely not. Elemental Aversion will probably be better, but overall you can see that yes, Shirking Fortification will work against Invigorated Punishment, but is there better options out there? Most likely. Now if we take a look at the previous test we did, then you can see on the left hand side we just tested Shirking Fortification versus a normal attack, so no Invigorated Punishment was tested here. The resistance was 7.5% against heavy. If we move over to the right hand side where we tested it with Invigorated Punishment, then you'll see the resistance is only 6%. So the resistance went down about 1.5% in the heavy category. If we move on to the medium, you'll see on the left hand side where we only had Shirking Fort, the resistance was 6.4%. But if we go up against Invigorated Punishment, the resistance went down to 4.7%. So the difference is about 1.7% difference against Invigorated Punishment. Now if we take a look at light at the bottom, you'll see that the resistance was 4.3%, not against Invigorated Punishment, but if we go up against Invigorated Punishment, the resistance went down to 2.6%, so that's a 1.7% difference. Now that you know all the stats and things, should you run Elemental Aversion or Shirking Fortify? Well, I would say the case is probably better for Elemental Aversion since it reduces most mage attacks and you can just jam accordingly for physical damage, but maybe heavy can have a case for Shirking Fortify, but most likely you'll probably just run Elemental Aversion and just jam correctly so that you can negate the elemental damage that might come from melee and other sources that avoid Elemental Aversion. If you enjoyed this video, then you can go follow me on Twitch, or you can watch the previous test where we tested Shirking Fortify versus Elemental Aversion.